Here we go. Take 99. All right, so we're back. We're going to check out this video, more information on the whole Cain Velasquez, and we're going to be looking at 1090 Jake EOS or EOS 1090 Jake. Please, if I messed it up, don't cease and desist on me. You did. So you guys know, like, this is a crazy one. I really don't want to follow this, but at the same time, like, yo, we can't let this type of information die down. All right. So before we jump into the video, I just want to say, I want to invite you guys to check out my podcast. It's wherever you guys get your podcasts. So if you don't listen to podcasts, look, you might like it. Links are below. So they're below. And let's get into it. Caw-caw!
Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, and I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on UFC legend Cain Velasquez, who's been charged with attempted murder after the unthinkable happened to a 4-year-old relative. February 28, 2022, multiple calls to the San Jose Police Department reported a shooting, specifically stating someone had opened fire into an occupied vehicle at multiple locations. It was 3:14 in the afternoon when police responded, arriving on scene finding a shot-up Chevy Silverado in the area of Madrone and Hale Avenue. The San Jose Fire Department were providing medical treatment to a gunshot victim as police began investigating what took place. The gunshot victim, identified as 63-year-old Paul Blender, was driving with his 40-year-old stepson Harry Gulate in the passenger seat and his son's 65-year-old mother Patricia in the back. As the victim was transported...
So what I like about 1090 Jake is that he strictly is to the facts and to the books and what's on record. So he's not going to speak on some things that maybe we know as insiders. He's not going to speak on that stuff, right? Even if he hears it, I'm sure people in this chat is telling him, but he's going to give you exactly what is on the paperwork, what is reported, and what will be used in a court of law. So that's what I like about him.
To a nearby medical center, officers spoke with the mother who stated the shooting suspect had followed their vehicle from their home in San Martin over to Morgan Hill where they went to pick up her son. Making their way to San Jose, that's when the suspect started shooting, making this a crime scene spanning over 11 miles. The mother identified the shooter as former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. Using the California DMV database, officers were able to obtain a photograph of Cain, and the mother positively identified him as the shooter. According to the mother, Cain was driving a black Ford F-250 when he pointed a gun at her son Henry and fired at him. As Cain chased after their vehicle, he was able to close the distance, ramming into theirs while they continued to flee. Still chasing after them, Cain fired 2 shots, striking the driver in his arm and back. It was at that time Cain fled the scene as calls for 911 were made. When asked what the relationship was between the victims and Cain, the mother stated Cain had employed her daycare facility for the last 2 years. Patricia, under the LLC Patty's Child Care, runs a daycare out of her home which has an estimated value of over $2 million.
Remember, I was saying that, like, yo, this it looked like a house. It was a daycare. So it's his mother's house, and she turned it into a daycare. And like, yo, he's just got access to all of these kids. Like, yo, man, this is sick.
The house features a playground and baseball field in the backyard, making it seem like a child's dream, when in all actuality, it was a house of horrors and a parent's worst nightmare. Just 5 days prior to the shooting, sheriffs responded to the 600 block of Powderhorn Court in San Martin. Detectives from the Sexual Assault Investigations Unit arrived at Patty's daycare, conducting an interview with the 4-year-old victim. It was determined the sexual assault had occurred on multiple occasions and possibly up to 100 times. Patty's son, 40-year-old Harry Gulate, wasn't employed with the daycare, but had been living with his mother and had access to more than 20 children attending the daycare. He was placed under arrest and booked into the Santa Clara County Jail, charged with lewd acts with a child under 14 years old. His bail was set at $50,000, and only 2 days later he was released. But living with his mother, I can only assume it was her that actually paid his bail. The daycare's license has since been suspended, and investigators are working closely with the daycare employees to determine how many kids had previously attended the House of Horrors. Due to a child predator living in the home, the potential for multiple victims remains. Cain Velasquez was arrested by Morgan Hill police officers after locating his Ford truck and conducting a vehicle stop. Cain pulled over and was taken into custody without incident as officers recovered a .40 caliber handgun loaded with 9 rounds and a 10-round magazine. And another magazine found in the center console contained 3 rounds and a 10-round magazine, leaving officers to determine Cain had used his weapon before reloading. 2 spent shell casings sat in the front passenger seat, and the firearm was found to be legally registered to Cain. Cain was then transported to the Santa Clara County Jail, charged with attempted murder, shooting at a motor vehicle, 3 counts of assault with a firearm, 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, willfully discharging a firearm, and carrying a loaded firearm with intent to commit a felony. Since news broke of what took place, the entire MMA community has taken a stance in full support of Cain Velasquez, including Dana White, who stated, "I obviously feel sorry for him and his family. It's a horrible thing. I don't know enough details to speak on it, but from what I've heard, we all say we'd do it if it ever happened to us. Cain did it." Joe Rogan, the UFC's greatest commentator, spoke on the situation on his podcast, stating, "My only wish is that he did it with his hands. My only wish is that he just ran the car off the road, pulled that guy out of the fucking car, and beat him to death." Cain is facing up to 20 years in California State Prison, and while the case against him seems grim, he was also able to retain Mark Geragos, who is considered one of the best lawyers the state of California has to offer, with a history of representing celebrities in high-profile cases. It seems to be understood the likelihood of Cain walking away from this case without punishment is 0 to none. But we're all wishing for the best possible outcome and the most violent punishment for Harry Gulate. It's in question if any charges will fall on the mother and stepfather who allowed Harry to stay in the home, but also gave him unsupervised access to a child, if not multiple children, on multiple occasions. Now, first and foremost, free Cain. As a father of a 4-year-old little girl, I can't fucking imagine. And while many of us will say what we would do, at the same time, I'm sure he's inside of a cell thinking about how right now he can't even comfort his 4-year-old relative in person. I don't know if it's his kid. I don't know if it's a niece, a nephew. I don't know the details on that. It seems that he acted out of emotion.
So it was his daughter. So, that's who it was. But the thing I like about 1090 Jake is, like he said, like I told you, like, he's not going to report on stuff that's not in the paperwork. So it is his daughter.
He did what he did. No one's really faulting him for that. He shot into a vehicle with the potential of killing 2 other people, and you can say, oh, they're innocent, they were just the parents. At the same fucking time, they allowed that sick fuck to live in that house at 40 years old, knowing they ran a daycare, and he had access to those children, or at least one child, over 100 times, or up to 100 times, which is insane. To me, responsibility also falls on the parents. That's fucking ridiculous. Now, I hope for the best for Cain. I'm hoping that if they have to do like a 10-year probation or something like that, they do that. They give him the opportunity to get it knocked off after 5 years. I don't think that he needs to go to prison. I don't think he deserves to go to prison. But I'm comfortable in the fact that if he does go to prison, he's going to be perfectly fine. He's going to be an outstanding fucking member of the prison society. First off, he's...
Now, inside information here is the prosecution, like, they're throwing around premeditated, like this is premeditated. So like if it just, as soon as he heard it and he took action and he just kind of drove and found him or whatever, I think then you can kind of you can plead for like temporary insanity, but that's out of the right now. And then just in California, it's real black and white. Like the law says this, the law says that. And I want to say that they're going to be looking at premeditation.
Mexican going to prison in California. He's good off that. Second off, he's a fucking UFC fighter. And I'm sure he'll be fine politicking and, you know, programming, hitting the burpees, this and that, because that motherfucker's in shape. But not only that, he's in there for a solid reason. Nobody's gonna fuck with him. Versus the guy that did this, he's public enemy number one. And people are gonna wanna take his fucking head off, not only because of the charges, but because of Cain Velasquez. And the fact that he was able to bail out only 2 days after committing this crime, and they're not even sure of the number of child victims, and obviously it was his fucking parents that paid the bail.
Right. And you know what they say. Like, yo, whenever you get caught, that's just your first time getting caught. Right. So you've been doing this, like he's been molesting people. I'm sure there's other victims, and hopefully, you know, that they have the support to come forth and to speak on this as well. Because that's really what, you know, that's what these kids need. They need the support from their family members so that they can have the strength to say what happened to them.
Since he had to live with them, I mean, this shit's ridiculous. I'm sure it was them that also put him in another apartment. The fact that they're doing all of this for him is disgusting. And I mean, I'm sure karma's gonna come down on them too. Let me know y'all thoughts and comments in the comment section. Try not to be too graphic with it, because I'm sure YouTube will automatically be just deleting comments that say certain things. And if y'all can find a GoFundMe or any good organization that's selling t-shirts, free Cain, or just putting money towards legal fees, whatever they can do, because technically you can't have a GoFundMe for legal fees, let me know and I'm gonna pin it in the comment section. We're trying to show full support for Cain. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. Till next time.
So yeah, no doubt, guys. I'm going to put in that. I'll go ahead and put in that, because they do have the GoFundMe where I think they're selling shirts, and the proceeds are going to be going to Cain and his family. So I'm gonna pin that in mine as well. I want you guys to go and subscribe to 1090 Jake. I believe it's EOS, but let's flip it to here so we can get the exact one, you know, so you guys can subscribe. So let's see. Boom. So it's end of sentence. And, you know, look, definitely subscribe to this guy. This guy is solid. He has a lot of good content. I devour the content as well. So, like, yo, that's just crazy. Like I said, it's crazy, and we got to protect our youth. You know, like that's really what it boils down to. It's nothing that Cain or his wife or anybody else, you know, that they knew was that this would happen, right? So if this happened to you and your family, like, it's not your fault. But, you know, in order to heal, we have to keep moving forward, and we have to shine light on these type of situations. So I don't want to make this too long. Thanks you guys for checking this out, and you know, caw-caw.